All right, on to our next guest, my darlings. We are flying through this today. I can't believe we're on our next guest already. We are so lucky to have our next guest on. His job as it stands is particularly difficult. He's an actor. He works on EastEnders and is doing a phenomenal job of playing Gray Atkins. Please welcome into the big festoon. I hope you're ready. I see you backstage. Toby-Alexander Smith, good morning.
Hello, how you doing? You all right?
I am so good. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem at all. Congratulations for getting this all together. So much going on for you.
It is crazy. Honestly, Toby, I've done this from my bedroom. I sat here 5 weeks ago and I said to my friend Joe, we need to do something. And then here we are, and here you are, and this lineup is blowing my little mind. And I'm just here
5 weeks.
I know, I'm just doing my little shit telly show from my bedroom. I don't know.
The power of lockdown.
That is exactly that. If I look at the lineup, there's just no way on God's green earth would I have been able to gather so many incredible people like yourself, like Jess and Jenny Powell's joining us later on. There's so many amazing people, but let's talk about you.
Absolutely, let's do it.
I was like, I better check what am I allowed to ask and what am I not allowed to ask. So you play Gray Atkins in EastEnders, and you must get asked this all the time. And I was really conscious when I was thinking about what to talk to you about, because you must get asked the same questions every single time, and it must get really effing boring. But the work that you're doing is really, really important, bringing to life Gray and you're not being a perpetrator, but having him be a perpetrator within that storyline. How have you found getting to grips with that? And I know you'll be asked that all the time, but I think as an awareness piece, it's important that we talk about it.
It is really important. The thing is, it's ever changing. When I first started in the job, we knew, me and Jess, that it was going to be a domestic abuse storyline. We didn't know specifically how they were going to play it out, how they were going to paint the picture of this family. And so for the audience, for the first few months, they were seen as this perfect, happy, picturesque Instagram family.
Yeah.
And it was only about sort of 4 months after that, we saw behind closed doors, basically, and we saw the abuse unfold.
It's the insidious coercive control, all that sort of stuff that happens underneath.
And I think what's been difficult about it is Gray covers the whole spectrum of abuse. It's not just physical. It's verbal. It's economical. It's sexual. It's everything, And I think
the insidiousness of the whole thing, isn't it? Because it completely, as a victim, as a survivor, it infiltrates every core of your being. It makes you question everything around you, and sometimes it isn't even conscious on the part of the perpetrator. It's a control thing. They're trying to control their situation.
And that's exactly what his premise is. He's just obsessed with this power and this control. And if anything slips out of line, that's when he slips into this intimidating, aggressive, horrible mode that we see so often. But that's where the sort of research has really had to come into play for me, because I think we all have an understanding of what domestic abuse is.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, unfortunately, there is this stigma of what an abuser looks like.
Right.
How they behave, that, he's only an abuser if he does this or he does this. That's not true. There's so many tactics, there's so many behaviors that can equate to being an abuser. And I think the great thing about what we're doing with this storyline is because Gray covers that whole spectrum, it makes it so much more relatable for people watching it.
And you're playing it absolutely beautifully. I mean, it's heartbreaking to watch. But you are just doing the most incredible job. How have you gone about getting ready for that? How have you gone about getting your head around that? Because obviously this is not you. This is people are inviting you into their living rooms, and often when you're in a soap, it's really hard for people to separate the man from the character, right?
Yeah.
So let's be really clear. This is Gray Atkins is a character, and we've got Toby, the incredible, wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous human being, with us. How did you get into Gray's headspace? How did you manage that?
Again, it's stemmed from the research. I mean, when I did the audition, I kind of had an idea what I could bring to this, but I had no idea to what capacity that was going to be on. And I've been very fortunate to work with Teresa Parker and WomensAid, and I've been in touch with them a lot, who have been absolutely amazing.
They've been ace. Like, we would not even be having this conversation were it not for WomensAid. So they're just wonderful.
And first and foremost, I started doing a lot of reading. There's this book as well from a counsellor called Lundy Bancroft. I don't know whether you've...
Okay, yeah, I'm going to write this down because we want to share these things.
Brilliant book. So the minute I got the job, I basically started looking through this and did my research, and it's become my Bible, basically. It covers everything and all the kind of elements and components why an abusive, controlling man goes to that place. And I think that was the thing. I had to initially look at the character Gray Atkins as a human being. He's a human being.
Yeah.
Why is he slipping into these modes? Why is he doing that? And so that was the thing. I just had to find what those trigger points were.
Yeah.
And then in terms of getting myself into that space, as you say, it's very far removed from me. I'm not a sort of, you know, I'm a very placid human being. So it is very hard. And, you know, I do things like I'll use music and things like that. And I'll just give myself sort of 10, 15 minutes before we do those kind of heavier scenes to just get myself focused. And me and Jess, who plays Chantel, we got on really, really well. And we've got a really lovely trust and relationship and chemistry. Yeah. So, you know, obviously her safety has to come first. And so every time we do those scenes, we have to coordinate them, usually with a stunt coordinator as well. And we just mark them through really slowly and everything's very controlled. But I think that comes into play a lot. It's the trust that we have as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, I guess, when you're an actor, you have a number of different types of scenes that you'd have to play, like a romantic scene or a sex scene or a going out with your mates kind of scene or a violent scene. And just like with, say, a sex scene, it is orchestrated. You've got loads of different people looking at you. So having that focus time and having that trust and that chemistry and being able to break state afterwards and just sort of decompress a little bit, I guess that would be important. How do you then get out of that? Because for so many actors, I know being in the entertainment world, so many actors live in that space, especially if they're method, but but live in that space and then need to do something to break state. Is there anything that you do afterwards to help you just kind of take Gray off, I guess?
It's taken practice. I mean, I'm definitely not one of those actors, not that I, you know, disregard anyone who has that kind of method.
Of course.
But I can very much leave it at the door, and it is acting. We are just pretending, especially within this context. And so usually me and Jess will go for a coffee afterwards. We'll go back and we'll just have a laugh and, you know,
just go and just debrief.
You just have to, because it is a very emotionally and physically taxing role for both of us. And it would be too exhausting if we carried it around everywhere, you know.
It's like anything, and you know, the things that you're talking about are traumatic. The things that you're doing, you know, in that space at that time are traumatic. So to be able to go and like decompress afterwards. How have you been received off of the back of this? So like, because people do find it hard, especially within the soaps. You are members of people's family essentially in their houses every other day. How have people responded to you? Have they been kind to you? Have you had some knobheads? Like, what's going on?
Well.
You could be diplomatic, it's fine, it's all right.
When it first came out last summer, that Gray was the abuser that he is, it was very loud on social media. There was a lot of noise, which is brilliant, and that's exactly what we wanted. It was starting to get a bit personal at times on social media. As you say, the thing with soaps is it reaches such a broad audience and people are so immersed into it, and you know, some people almost treat it like real life. I mean, they buy into the world so much, which is brilliant, and that's the power of soap. But then, as you say, it becomes difficult then when you're trying to differentiate yourself between the character and the actor. But as time has gone on, people are starting to understand that we've got a sort of duty to raise awareness, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this story, is to solely raise awareness and do that.
That's it. You're in people's houses, so what better platform is there to introduce these concepts to people? And then to, you know, if you out there are experiencing these behaviors yourself, you might not have even recognized that was the position that you were in. So it's such an important job, and there's so many people in the comments that are saying it's such an important job that you do this. What I've seen you do in working with WomensAid is supporting WomensAid as well, and obviously coming to speak to me today is part of some of the work that you're doing, and in agreeing to do this. There are some other things that you're doing as well to raise awareness and to raise funds for WomensAid. Am I right?
Yes. So
you crazy fool.
No, well, that's the thing. So yeah, so I was supposed to be running the London Marathon in April, and obviously that's not gone ahead, which is a massive shame. But as it stands, it's been postponed to October. So fingers crossed that's still going to go ahead. So yeah, I'm still training for that. Amazing. Still gratefully receiving donations and things, and I'm looking forward to it. I just really, really hope it goes ahead.
Yeah, like fingers crossed for all of it. It's been crazy. So what's filming look like for you now? What does work look like for you since the start of lockdown? Because the whole, again, part of my job's being a singer. The whole singing leg of my business has been kicked out from underneath me. Television is now happening like this. Yeah, there's only we created this because it doesn't look dissimilar from actual proper television. Yeah. So how's that looking for you guys right now?
I mean, it's so we're due to go back around about a month's time to resume filming, and obviously we're going to adhere to sort of government guidelines. So we're going to be doing obviously 2 meter distance filming, which is going to be a new skill set for everyone. And
that'll be interesting for the editors. That's going to be interesting. Like for the whole team, that's going to be interesting.
Exactly, and the new norm for everyone to adopt this kind of this skill and this way of working, but. Yeah. I've kind of got my head around it, and I think you've got to have a lot of trust in the fact that the producers and the cameraman and everyone working, all the crew, they know what they're doing. They're very clever. They'll have put this through. There are ways around it. So we just have to trust because it sounds like that they've worked it out. So
yeah, and the thing is there's a whole smoke and mirrors thing that goes behind creating anything for television, and these people are masters of that. They've been doing it for decades. I mean, particularly in EastEnders, they've been doing it for decades. So I'm interested to see how that's going to look for everybody and how that's going to look to us at home. It's exciting more than anything to see what this new is going to look like for actors, what it's going to look like for the entertainment world. So is there anything else that you've got coming up that you're looking forward to?
I mean, to be fair, literally going back to work for me is a big deal.
Right? For so many people.
I feel so lucky. I've got so many actor friends who are in theatre who at the moment are literally at a loose end. They don't know when they're going back to work. And I feel for them, and I feel very grateful. And if there's one thing I've gotten from this lockdown is a real sense of gratitude. And some people have had a really, really tough time. So I've just been able to count my blessings, really. And that, I'll be going back to work soon, and thankfully all my family and friends are safe, and so I think just getting a bit of a normal routine back together.
Just pulling it all back together. And it's like everyone's got to work out what this new is, not just you, like I have, like the people that are watching. What are you guys saying out there? Let's have a little look. Fidel, who is a Modern Man coach, so he helps me. I don't know if you caught the beginning. Fidel from the Modern Man Coaching Academy has sponsored this particular slot. So thank you to Fidel. Raising awareness is so important. As a man, I had no idea the scale of the problem until I started to have these conversations. It's interesting to see. We've got James Perryman. Oh, this is a long one. He's blocked us out. Let's have a look. I spent 9 years in a relationship not seeing that I was being abused, about what I wasn't earning, my ability to be a man and be generally controlled. It is weighted against women, particularly if you look at the statistics, but it does happen to men. It's part of your research. Did you come across any of that, or was you just focused on? No,
I mean, as you say, it doesn't. Abusism doesn't discriminate, and it's. I think just before I came on, you were saying, sex, race, it doesn't matter. And yes, certainly in the research, I've definitely obviously seen the statistics that it's very much weighted on women, as you say, but it's across the board, and there's services out there for everyone.
So thank you so much for your time. I will not keep you any longer. I know you've come along and you've come to chat to me for free today, and I'm just so grateful for all of the work that you're doing and raising awareness in this way. It's such a meaty role to get your teeth into, so congratulations for just smashing it out of the park. Toby-Alexander Smith, everybody, huge love to you, my darling. Take care.
Everyone. Take care.
Bye. Bye. Toby-Alexander Smith, and breathe.